Baker friggin' Mayfield. He is just killing it. The first 4 wins of the season for the Buccaneers were when the Bucs were tied or trailing in the final minute of regulation. And each and every one of them. And Baker, on the razor's edge, just took that razor's edge and shivved everybody with it.
Baker Mayfield thrusting himself into not just the MVP conversation, but
he is the MVP.
He's the guy.
Baker's missing everything. He's on the road. Seattle and San Francisco are good. And he's willing his team to win. You don't have your best running back. You don't have your top 3 wide receivers. You got a defensive coach, so it's your offense. That's what an MVP looks like.
Nobody is safe when Baker Mayfield is playing at his very best. Not at Oklahoma, not in Cleveland, and certainly not in Tampa. By virtue of his fiery personality, the Bucs QB has endured some high highs and extreme lows, transmitted to millions for their viewing pleasure. At one time viewed as an outright bust of a first overall pick, 2025 is proving to be his best year yet. Mayfield looks particularly refined, damn near impossible to bring down, and clutch enough to carry his men through an unprecedented offensive injury crisis. In the 2025 season, defenses are having to confront a worst-case scenario, because this is the version of Baker Mayfield that the NFL never wanted. In the off chance that you haven't heard of Baker's great redemption arc yet, here's a quick refresher. 2-time college walk-on, Heisman winner in 2017, drafted first overall by the Browns in 2018, wins Cleveland's first playoff game in 2.5 decades over a division rival no less, only to be traded away the following offseason after playing through a shoulder injury. Baker landed in Carolina, where he began the season as a starter, but was lining up as D-end for the scout team by Thanksgiving. He was released, then picked up by LA, where a 5-game apprenticeship under Sean McVay was enough to encourage Tampa to take a chance on him in the 2023 offseason. So, that addresses how he arrived on the Gulf Coast to begin with, but to understand Baker's growth into the MVP hopeful we see today, we must analyze the factors around him that have worked in his favor. For the first time in his career, he was playing for a stable organization. Let me put this another way to really hit the point home. For the first time in 5 seasons, Baker Mayfield was playing for a franchise that wasn't despised by its fans, with a front office and coaching staff that was highly regarded in league circles. He got a taste for this in his brief stint with the Rams, but the Bucs job came with a completely different set of expectations. Jason Light has been the Bucs general manager since 2014. Todd Bowles was hired as defensive coordinator back in 2019 and promoted to head coach after Bruce Arians called it a day in 2021. That is to say, both Light and Bowles were a part of the Super Bowl 56 triumph, as were large swaths of the staff and roster. In other words, the former first overall pick, whom the Cleveland Browns decided wasn't good enough to get the job done because of his immaturity, was meant to lead a locker room full of world champions. That sounds all the more daunting when you remember that Tampa signed Baker on a 1-year prove-it deal to replace the greatest player of all time in Tom Brady. No matter who you are, that comes with a lofty set of expectations. Filling in for the GOAT is not for the faint of heart, and after Baker had been let go by 2 different organizations, he was far from the prime candidate for the QB job in Tampa. Therefore, the Bucs were due for a major fall-off. They had just fired longtime OC Byron Leftwich and replaced him with passing game coordinator Dave Canales, a relative unknown. On the surface, very little was working in Baker's favor in that debut season. Yet he still managed to win over the locker room. He benefited greatly from the ridiculous talent that surrounded him on offense. Both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin went for over 1,000 receiving yards, helping Baker have his first 4,000-yard passing season. Running back Rachaad White, who had over 1,500 yards from scrimmage in that 2023 season, explained the similarities between Baker and his predecessor, which made the transition away from Brady seamless.
The biggest similarity is just that dog, man. You can't coach that dog, man. By any means necessary. however got to get done, they get it done. And you see it. Like every time, he don't take nothing for granted. That's how Brady was too. Cherish every opportunity that he get, and he going to go out and attack it. And then if that game on the line, you get in the moments, and Grandma know what I'm talking about. Like, we're going to get it done. That game on the line, that last shot or something, like we believe, like it's poised, like you just been here before. And so, like, that's the thing with Bake. Like, you got no knock about it. So that's why I said the biggest thing, just dog, man.
Again, it cannot be understated just how impressive Baker's debut season in Tampa was, especially considering his playoff performances in 2023. He shredded the Philadelphia Eagles for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns before falling to the Lions in a one-score game in the divisional round. It was clear for all to see, Baker Mayfield was not at all intimidated by the responsibility of filling in for Brady or leading a championship roster. In fact, quite the opposite. He looked more comfortable than ever. Sure, he wasn't yet in the elite QB conversation with some of his draft classmates like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, but Baker was starting to make up ground. It wasn't all smooth sailing though. Canales took the head coaching job in Carolina, which left Liam Cohen as Baker's second offensive coordinator in his many years in Tampa. 2024 got off on the wrong foot as he had a playful spat with Tom Brady.
I thought stressful was not having Super Bowl rings. So there was a mindset of a champion that I took to work every day. This wasn't daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was going to go to Disneyland with my kids.
After a marquee win over the Eagles in that very game, Mayfield cleared the air in his post-game press conference.
Yeah, I think a lot of that got taken out of context. None of it was personal by any means. It's just, what he demanded of the guys, and that's the aura of Tom Brady, and that's what he did to bring a championship here. And so, nothing personal, but talking before the game, he's obviously happy for me, and he knows the guys, so he knows how much I enjoy throwing to Mike and Chris because he got to do the same, and so it's fun to be able to, talk about the same experiences with a guy like that.
Probably not the kind of response that most people at the time would have expected out of Baker Mayfield, but the truth is, he was growing off the field just as much as he was on it. Again, the Browns cited his immaturity as a major obstacle in his becoming a franchise QB, but the man who washed up on Tampa's roster looked every bit the part. In the process of maturing, Mayfield never lost the essence of who he is, more clearly explaining the difference between his era and Brady's on a podcast.
Yeah, you hear a lot of good stories. Obviously, they won a lot of games, but it's just different. We have very different personalities. And so for me, I was just trying to be myself, not trying to wear his shoes or do any of that. And you can't do that. And he made it to the level he did by being himself and in his own way, and I think everybody else did as well. So you just gotta do it your own way.
He ended the 2024 season with his second Pro Bowl nod, as well as career highs in yards with 4,500 and touchdowns with 41. One staggering stat was his league-high 16 interceptions, something that he would have to remedy ahead of the 2025 season if he were to continue his ascent towards the elite QB category. Baker would have to take on the climb with yet another new offensive coordinator in Josh Grizzard. Grizz, as he's commonly known, chose to keep Liam Cohen's offensive scheme in place with just some minor tweaks, which makes perfect sense. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that continuity has paid huge dividends in 2025, especially with the, quite frankly, overwhelming injury crisis to Tampa's offensive skill positions. According to Mike McCarthy, Baker's comfort in the offense 3 years in has a lot to do with his improved play in 2025.
I would say the accuracy, but his anticipation, I think, is a great anticipator. And obviously he has a receiver group that he's in tune with. Those guys have played a lot of football together. But when you watch him play, he's not sitting on his back foot. He's going through the progression. There's always rhythm to his feet. Ball comes out on time. So very composed in the pocket. But I think he's an excellent anticipator.
Baker led multiple game-winning drives and fourth quarter comebacks to keep a depleted roster in games, catapulting him into the MVP conversation for his part in helping the Bucs overperform.
It's his to lose.
Absolutely.
The MVP is his to lose. The way Baker Mayfield is playing right now, he's playing the best football at the quarterback position with no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Obviously, Bucky Irvin goes down. Egbuka goes out the birthday. Egbuka goes out today with a hamstring injury, and he still doesn't miss a beat.
According to Bucs legend Rondé Barber, Baker deserves all of the credit for turning his career around so dramatically.
It's just, he has this natural charisma and leadership ability about him that everybody buys into. So you say, how do you change the narrative about yourself? You do it by doing. You don't do it by like talking or like, hoping that it materializes into something you want. You go out and get out in front of it and be a captain, represent what the C really means. And he, in every single way, he's done that here in Tampa. I mean, we talk about this now getting recognition, but he's been doing this for 3 years. The last year was a career year for him in terms of yards and touchdowns, and obviously threw a lot of interceptions, but he's got one this year. He's cleaned up the things that he wanted to work on this year. And now it's starting to look like, man, this is the guy that was the #1 pick in the draft all those years ago.
The charisma and edge Baker plays with isn't just important for his standing in the locker room, but also in the momentum he's played with overall this season. Even with Mike Evans set to miss the entire year, Baker's easy connection with rookie wideout Emeka Egbuka softens the blow. In Egbuka's homecoming game in Seattle, Mayfield got into it with a fan before the game. Baker went on to throw for 379 yards and 2 touchdowns in a shootout win over the Seahawks, which, in hindsight, made the trash-talking fan look like a fool.
No! You still suck! You still suck! You still suck!
Egbuka said as much when he went on the Pat McAfee show afterwards.
Don't wake them up, I think is the thing. And I talked about this yesterday. It's like teams might need to send out like emails to season ticket holders and people that are going to be there like, hey, we just don't talk to the quarterback.
Don't echo Baker.
Yeah, actually bring signs pro Baker. Baker, welcome to town.
Don't poke the bear, essentially. Just ask any fan of a Big 12 team who had to watch this guy play as a Sooner in the mid-2010s, because this 2025 version of Baker Mayfield is back to his best form. He's improved year on year in Tampa, and we might just be witnessing his peak. Mayfield has been fueled by doubt for his entire career. That's nothing new. What is in 2025? Mayfield's ability to carry this team from both a leadership and performance standpoint, with all of his veteran playmakers missing. He is that guy. The same trash-talking, dogged energy, but with even more end product. He shows up in the clutch, has taken up the mantle from Brady more than adequately, and if he can carry this form into the postseason, Baker may just be able to recreate his predecessor's feat in the red, white, and black. It's clear, every era has a quarterback you can't put away. In 2025, that's Baker Mayfield. The mistakes are down, the moments are bigger, and the belief in that huddle is absolute. Brady handed off the standard. Baker's been carrying the weight. The scary part, he's still climbing. If you've got to face Tampa in January, you're not game planning a scheme. You're bracing for the storm. Drop your take in the comments. Is this the year Baker turns the redemption arc into a Lombardi run?